Today I'm gonna finally help you leave behind that toxic boyfriend that you and I both know you have no business being with. Many moons ago, I too was in a very toxic situationship of over 4 years, and I spent pretty much that entire time period trying to stop talking to this person, but I never felt quite strong enough to completely stop. Until one day came where I had just had enough. I walked away and never looked back, and I literally had a whole plan that I wrote out in the notes section of my phone on how I was going to do that, and I executed that plan flawlessly. So I'm going to be sharing that with you today. This is not for my girls who feel like they can just break up with someone and go no contact. This is specifically for my girlies who are in that type of toxic relationship where they might have already tried to leave, but something keeps pulling them back. Just to help you understand what that might be, you might be in an addictive toxic cycle where you are trying and trying and trying to seek this person's validation, and because they know that, they'll give you a crumb here and there, and that crumb will be enough to keep you around for a little bit more until they need to give you the next crumb. And so you've kind of created this addictive cycle with this person where you're addicted to the dopamine spikes that come with getting their approval for these little spurts, but then constantly having to continue auditioning for it. So getting rid of him is going to be the most urgent thing on your to-do list right now. Before you take any action, the first thing that you're going to do is create a contract, form an agreement between you and yourself. It is really important in this contract that you tailor the agreement to the situation at hand. So in my case, I finally got confirmation that he was basically talking to other girls when that wasn't our arrangement. I knew in my gut for those years, but I had no proof. And in the absence of proof, there always felt like there was at least one more reason to stay than to leave. Even though the reasons to leave kept piling up, he kept adding to the reasons to stay with his toxic behaviors where he would pull me back when he felt like I was drifting. And that's why I say, like, if no contact and just going cold turkey, cutting him off works for you, you don't even need to watch this video. Just go do that. Cut him off. You don't need to like strategize. That didn't work for me, and I had tried to do that for years because every time he felt me pulling back, he would do some sort of performance, and I was not emotionally strong enough to just keep walking away when I saw him actually trying. So that's why it is super important in this contract to explain how you are going to start distancing. As soon as I found out that he was lying and also disloyal, I decided it's over. So I started creating these if-then statements to help prep me for what was coming next. I would say, if he calls you, then make an excuse as to why you're busy. And we'll get into why we're not being straightforward in step 2. If he wants to hang out, say that you're busy studying for your GMAT. My voice is like doing something today. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if I'm getting possessed by the spirit of the toxic ex, but we're just gonna roll with my voice sounding weird. Anyway, if this, then that, like I was creating so many statements, and then they got even more advanced. Like, if he notices that you're distant, assure him that you're just really busy and really stressed out about getting into business school. If you run into him at the gym, this is how you need to act. Like, I literally created so much predictability because what had gotten me in the past was he was super unpredictable. It would completely throw me off. And so I needed to create this agreement with myself to let myself know, like, these are the kinds of behaviors that you can probably expect from him. About a week or two in of you blowing him off, he might notice, and then this is what you need to do. That helped me so much just kind of prepare myself to not be misled by his deceiving, manipulative behavior. So that is number 1. Before you do or say anything, I want you to get super detailed in your notes section about exactly what you are going to do. Talk about your routine with him. Talk about the places where you might run into him. Maybe you guys have a child together. Talk about what that situation is going to look like when you actually have to co-parent with him. Don't leave anything up for surprise. Be as detailed as possible. Create this contract so that you can start to build this foundation of self-trust between you and you. The next thing that I want you to do is practice being nice and distant. I don't know if you've read 48 Laws of Power. I definitely hadn't read it at that time, but recently I was just curious about what all the rave was. And one of the first laws, which is I think law 3, is conceal your true intentions. Oh my God, that is exactly what I did. And the reason that the book says to conceal your true intentions from people is to just do what's called throwing them off the scent. Do not make clear why you are making the decisions that you are making. Do not make clear why you are making the moves that you are making, because if you let them in on your strategy, then they have time to prepare a counter strategy and, retaliate. And yes, in this situation, you have to look at this person like someone that you need to defend yourself from. They are not on your team. And so you should not be letting them into your playbook. You need to not make clear why you are doing what you're doing. And the most important thing here is to not let them know you're doing anything. Like, they can't know that there's this plan to move on. You shouldn't be texting them and warning them like, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna be very distant because I'm trying to get rid of you. Absolutely not. Like, the whole purpose of us creating this plan to get rid of this person is because they are somebody who will do everything in their power to manipulate you back into that relationship. So you cannot be honest about your feelings right now. You definitely can't be honest about the decisions you're making and why you are making them. You need to be more cunning and strategic than that. If this was someone worthy of being honest with, we wouldn't be here right now, would we? So that's why it's really important once they start trying to hang out with you, not to give an attitude about it. Like, pretend that you guys are good. Pretend that you're happy with them. Pretend that, you know, you like them and you want to see them, but you're just too busy. The reason that it's really important to be deceiving, and look, I'm someone who is way too honest. I'm someone who is way too honest. So this was a challenge for me because I felt unethical lying to this person. But then when I realized, like, it's either me or him. Like, it's literally either me or him. I'm in a situation where I need to choose between my health and having this person in my life. And so if that's the one person on earth I'm going to lie to and maybe be quote unquote unethical, then that's fine. I think God is okay with that. Like, this person does not deserve my honesty. But just understand that you're not going to feel completely honest, and that's okay. You don't owe them that. This is someone that is actively out here hurting you, intentionally or unintentionally, doesn't really matter. They're out here coming for you. You don't need to tell them where to find you. So it's really important in this step that they are reassured that nothing bad is happening, that you are not moving on. They're reassured that you're not trying to distance yourself. Like, do what you need to do to throw them off the scent and to truly not let them in on the fact that you are actively trying to leave. If that means you need to, you know, be on the phone for a couple minutes and talk to them, do that. If that means that you need to say some nice things here and there so that they don't think that they need to try to win you back, do that. Like, just throw them off, because all of this relies on the premise that you are not emotionally right now strong enough to just completely move on from this person. So can you imagine if they sense that you're trying to pull away, what they would do, how quickly they would show up at your doorstep, how quickly you would be getting flowers delivered, true story, how quickly you would be having this person say things about you and tell you how much they love you in ways that they never did before. Honestly, that is what started happening with me. No matter how nice I was being, he eventually caught on to the distance and just started doing these things that I'd been wanting him to do for 4 years. Like, this man was finally telling me how he really felt about me and how important I was to him. And he was doing all these productions for me. And I was creating enough distance to where I wasn't allowing that in. Like, it's not like I was letting him see me to come and sit down and have this one-on-one where he told me all of that, but he was like posting things online, talking to my friends about how much he loves me, sending me some gifts, doing things like that. And I just want you to know, my love, when you get to that place where they start to perform, understand that that's all it is. It's just a performance. It's just a Hail Mary attempt to get you back so that they can continue doing the terrible things that they were doing to you. They don't respect you. They just feel like they're losing you. That's it. Like, they feel like you're this little toy that they need to win back. You're just prey, and they're trying to lure you back into their lion's den. Don't be flattered. It is not flattering at all. In fact, it is very disrespectful, and it just shows you that they were capable of showing you that love all along, and they purposely didn't do it until they felt like you were pulling away. Please do not be a dummy, and do not make the mistake of thinking that things are going to be different. They're not going to be different. Trust me, they're not going to be different. If you're dealing with someone toxic and manipulative, it's not going to be different. City calling from Atlanta cause he missed me. Well. This man does not care about what's best for you, my love, because if he did, he would have been doing that. He cares about what's best for him. And right now, trying to win you back is what's best for him. And that's why he's doing it. Do not be flattered. So now that you have so much free time in the absence of this person, what I need you to do urgently, drop everything and start creating your own closure. That is what you need to do to build up a strong enough security system from this person. Because as they start to sense you grow more and more distant, their behaviors and auditions for love might get more and more intense, and they might start doing things you've never seen them do, and it might really start to pull at your heartstrings. So the idea is, the further along that you get, the more intense their performances might be, true, but also also, the more closure you've already started to create for yourself. The more solidified you will also be in your decision. As you get distant from them, you should start to feel stronger and stronger, especially since the source of that poison isn't really there to contaminate your self-trust and your self-confidence. And what I really want you to know here is that you don't ever need someone else for closure. That is such a myth. It's so misleading. I mean, is it nice when people tell you the thing that you've been waiting on them to say? Yeah, but honestly, if you don't want to be over somebody, or if you don't want to feel better about a situation, nothing that someone says or does is actually going to make you feel better if you are not resolved about that between you and you. And that should just go to show you, like, you can create your own closure in the absence of them doing or saying what you want them to do. In fact, a manipulative person understands that you are relying on them for closure. A manipulator understands that you're waiting on their closure, and that's actually exactly why they're not giving it to you, because if they gave it to you, you would be gone. They recognize that if they gave that to you, they would have no power over you anymore. So they withhold that thing in order to continue to control you. Nothing on this planet will make you a more powerful woman than when you learn to create your own closure in any relationship, really, but especially in a toxic, manipulative one. He's literally holding your heart hostage right now. So you need to realize that it was never actually in his hand. If you wanted to feel better about this situation, you could determine that you're done. And you can determine that there are some questions that you will never get answered. And you need to make peace with that on your own, because they're not going to answer it for you. It's funny that I even said hostage, because I was reading this book about negotiations. And one of the things that the negotiations expert talked about is you should never let the other party know when you find something extremely valuable. It's kind of like the stupid trick that people talk about when you're bargaining at like some sort of market, where you can't show them that you really like the thing, because then they're going to increase the price of it. If you show the person you're trying to break up with that their closure and their words and their affirmation means the world to you, and it's like the most valuable thing in your life, they're gonna withhold that from you. They're not going to give it up. That's why in hostage negotiations, it's important to be cool and calm, because if you let them know that you're freaking out that they held this person hostage, then they know that they have something valuable and they can get more of what they want out of you. The fact that you're even in a place though where you can give yourself that closure means that you're more than halfway there. You are not going to be able to create this closure, my love, while this person was still in your life. There would be too many touch points, too many emotional moments where they're pulling on your heartstrings. Now that you've created that distance, you have really made yourself so much more immune to anything that they try to do, that now you really can just focus on yourself. And that's really what I want you to do. I want you to spend as much time alone and or around people that really love you and make you feel safe as you possibly can. It's so important during this time to be reminded of who you actually are. One of the best ways to do that is to be around people who actually remind you of that. And by people, I don't mean trying to rebound or get with somebody that makes you feel loved. This is not the time, in my opinion, and from my experience, this is not the time to jump into another relationship. This is the time to focus on yourself and really start to get reacquainted with that voice in your head. Really start to heal your intuition and, make her feel heard about the things that she might have been trying to tell you for months or even maybe years. Hi, boo. What's up, Habibi? The more I started to feel like myself again, the less his words and actions actually impacted me. I reminded myself of what I'm worth and of what I want. And as I started to create that distance, I started to realize more and more that he was never and would never be that. And I can't describe to you how relieved I felt knowing that I was just taking matters into my own hands and that I did not need anything from him. But I will tell you, and I will warn you, that at the point where he really started to notice that I was gone and never looking back, he wanted answers. He wanted to sit down with me. He wanted to talk to me. And I did not accept for that to happen until I knew without a shred of doubt that I would be able to sit in front of him and not be pulled back. This might not happen for you, so I really just don't recommend it. If you even doubt whether you'd be able to do it without getting vulnerable, then I would just say don't do it at all. Why go back on all this progress and momentum that you made? But in my case, I was just done. That's just my personality. I don't know about you. When I'm actually done, it's scary how done I can be. I can be done from pretty much anybody in my life when I decide that I'm done. And so if you have that quality in you, and for whatever reason, maybe you're a better person than they are, and you want to give them a little bit of that closure, then maybe do it. I don't know why I did it. Going back, I probably wouldn't have done it, but I did feel a little bit bad for him because I still cared about him and I still felt like he wasn't this horrible person. He was just super manipulative. I don't even think he realizes why he was so manipulative. So when I sat with him, I remember there were so many things the past version of me would have wanted to bring up, but I knew that I had created my own closure because I didn't want answers to anything. I didn't care. There was nothing that he could say that would convince me of anything. And then on top of that, I did not want to give him this misleading feeling like if I brought up things that bothered me that he could fix them. I'm like, honestly, I don't want to waste his time either. Like, I'm not going to tell him about how I found out that he was talking to someone else. I'm not going to tell him about how he made me feel all those other times. I'm not going to tell him about X, Y, and Z that has always bothered me because there's just nothing he can do about it anymore. And I don't even care. He doesn't need to try to fix it because he holds no power over me and I've already decided that I'm over it. And so at this point, it's between me and me. Like, I'm over him. I got over him very quickly. But now I need to get over what the situation turned me into. And that's not something he can help me with. If anything, that's only something he can deter me from. And those are words that I want you to think a lot about, my love. You might get over the person fast, but getting over the relationship and the part of you that it required, the person that it might have turned you into in the process, that might take a little bit longer or a lot longer to get over. And you cannot do that in the presence of the source of that trauma. The other thing that came out of this experience for me is this quote or this little poem that I wrote, which was, "He should be increasingly excited to have you, not occasionally afraid to lose you." And it taught me so much about what I wanted in a man. This person was somebody who was not increasingly excited to have me. Like, in fact, this person was taking me for granted from day one, really. The most excited that he was about me was on day one when he didn't quite have me. And so once he felt like he had me, and he was able to pull me in, he just became less and less grateful and took me more and more for granted. And I want you to know, now that I am in a healthy relationship with someone who doesn't do that, it does not have to be like that. Like, you can find somebody who, even after the honeymoon phase, is actually more and more and more grateful that you're there and makes you feel like they're so much more excited about the life that you're building together as you continue to build it, because they're seeing the vision. Like, Ahmed was the least excited on day one, and that was a very exciting day for both of us. He is so much more excited about me, and vice versa. Now that we're on like year 3 or 4, we're going on year 4, and he's so much more excited about me because I've shown him more of me and he's grown more and more in love with that. That's what you should have. All these myths about how things are never quite as good as they were in the beginning, that's all BS. Please don't subscribe to that. That is all BS. So now we've entered the final phase of our process where it's just you and you. You are now powerful enough to walk away and literally never look back. Like, you can literally never look back. I have literally never looked back. And during this phase, I think it's really important to also disconnect from anyone who is a mutual connection between you and this person, if possible. So I was friends with a lot of this person's friends, and I just completely cut them off cold turkey because in my mind, they were only my friends because of him. Did I like a lot of them? Yeah. Did I respect a lot of them? 100%. But I, again, felt like I was choosing between myself and him and everything that was attached to him, and I chose myself. I have never regretted that for 2 seconds. So cut off your contact with anyone who is mutual between you guys. There were people in my life who befriended him because me and him, who decided to kind of stay cool with him. I was completely fine with that. I had no issue with that at all. But I had told all of those people, please do not update me on his whereabouts or behaviors or anything. I don't want to know anything. And at one point, I literally told people in my life, like, I don't want to know if he is on planet Earth. I don't want to know what country he's living in anymore. Like, I don't want to know anything about him. So please respect my boundary and I know it might be juicy stuff because that's what we used to do, but respect my boundary that I'm trying to completely cleanse myself from everything about this person. I don't want to know anything about their whereabouts at all. And that was super helpful in me actually walking away and never looking back, because I was very committed to the identity that I was recreating without this person. I just came out of 4+ years of me and this person, and I needed to completely cleanse myself of their energy and of their memory even. My brows are getting crazy. I really need to do them. This is the exciting part. Now that you've shown yourself that you're actually ready to walk away and never look back, you are going to rebuild your life in such a beautiful way. Like, do not sleep on the glow up. Honestly, if you were in a toxic, abusive, manipulative relationship, it really just gets better every day from my experience. Like, once you've cleansed yourself, the worst that it gets is when you're with that person. And yes, you're going to feel lonely at times. You're going to feel uncomfortable and maybe even weird depending on how long you've been with this person. But in my experience, I just started to feel lighter and lighter and lighter. And that was the feeling that just kept me going. You deserve so much better than to be with someone who makes you feel like you need to devise a master plan on how to escape from them. I just wanted to put that out there in case that wasn't already clear. Relationships should not feel the way that you feel right now. More than anything, you deserve to be with somebody who protects you, not who you need to protect yourself from. You deserve to be with someone who guards your heart, not someone who you think you need to guard your heart from. And I just want you to remember that. Things are gonna get so much brighter from here. I promise you that. Once you release yourself from that toxic energy, not only is your life just gonna feel so much brighter and lighter, but you're gonna respect yourself on a completely new level, and you're gonna demand a completely new level of respect from all your relationships moving forward. I'm so excited for you. I just can't wait to hear about this glow up. You are going to be so much better off without this energy in your life. Please come back and let me know as you are implementing this plan. I want to know how it's going. I want to know how you're feeling or any questions that you have. I love you so much. And as always, stay powerful, my love.